Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. We're back for another episode of Bash Brothers Reviews, and today we've got a little change of scenery, right? I figure, why not do this in the living room? Nice comfy chair, a little mood lighting, keep it a little dark in some areas, because today, besides the fact that this is much more comfortable than my toy room in my garage, we are going to talk about one of the darkest, one of the most iconic villains created of all time. What is a good story if there isn't a great villain? You can't have heroes without someone to fight, right? So tonight we're going to jump right back into the Matty Collector Mattel Masters of the Universe Classics line, and we are going to talk about Skeletor. That's right.
Wonderful.
Listen, I am not nice, I am not kind, and I am not wonderful.
Skeletor is an interesting figure because, he was created in 1981. When he first debuted, he was more sinister, I guess, if you want to call it that way. Like if you go back and you read the original mini comics that came with the toys when he came out, his objective was to straight up kill He-Man, kidnap Teela, and make her his wife, basically. Interestingly, though, as the stories progress and you start to develop this line for children, you've really got to start aiming it at kids. And the whole concept of the Masters of the Universe storyline kind of changed, because in addition to trying to kill He-Man, he was also trying to get the other half of the Power Sword, because in those original mini comics, if you combine the two Power Swords together, you would be able to unlock the secrets and the keys to Castle Grayskull, and that's ultimately what Skeletor wanted, and He-Man was ultimately there to prevent that from happening. Something they never really touched on in the Filmation cartoon at all, the Power Swords, really. But throughout the last 35 years or more, Skeletor's really developed a backbone, a nice story that has been really fun to follow. And honestly, if I had to say, Skeletor is one of my favorite characters of all time, as far as villains are concerned. I mean, obviously, He-Man is my favorite, and then Superman's right up there with him. But as far as villains are concerned, Skeletor is... there's no better, in my opinion. Without Skeletor becoming as iconic as he was, I don't know that the superhero cartoon franchise would have taken off the way that it did. Skeletor was always trying to rule Eternia. He was always trying to get at He-Man, and he was always trying to conquer the universe. And he never succeeded, because he was always surrounded by a bumbling group of henchmen.
Pathetic pair of pitiful pinheads!
But, nevertheless, let's get into this figure here. He comes with a full sword, which theoretically would be considered the Power Sword, and then he also comes with a half Power Sword. Much like He-Man came with his half Power Sword, you combine the two Power Swords together, unlock the secrets and keys to Castle Grayskull, and rule the universe. One of his favorite things, or one of my favorite things rather, and something that I actually found quite ironic as I developed my own wrestling character, the Black Sheep, is Skeletor's Havoc Staff. He, of course, comes with this Havoc Staff because he wasn't seen without it in the Filmation cartoons. But the interesting thing is, look at the skull on this Havoc Staff. It's a ram skull, right? So is the Black Sheep's logo. Weird. I didn't even put that together when it happened. until much later. But comes together. He's got nice joints, a lot of the hand that holds the Havoc staff does not hold it very well. I'll preface that. But he's got nice joints, bends pretty well. He's very sturdy, and he stands also very well as well. I don't know. I wonder. I think his sword is only meant to be held in his right hand here, and not the Havoc staff. But let's find out, shall we? Pop this little sword out. See if we can put the Havoc staff in there. The Havoc staff kind of comes to a wider, starts small at the base and then comes to a wider grip. He can't hold it. Okay. But he's going to very flimsily hold the sword as well. So, you know, in that respect, it's probably better to keep the Havoc staff in his left hand, because although it's very loose, because the construction of the Havoc staff, how it starts thin and tapers upward to be thicker, you can put it in his left hand and pull it down a ways, and it will hold it much better, as you see right there. He actually came out, this is the third character, officially the fourth character in the Matty Collector Classics line. Interesting, to me it's an interesting position in that line. As we've touched base on before, we had King Grayskull, who was a San Diego Comic-Con exclusive. Very cool figure, still in the box in my garage. Then we had He-Man, and then Beastman. And although Beastman and Skeletor were seen in the first mini-comics together, you would think that with Skeletor being the actual rival of He-Man, that he would have been the first villain released in that line. So I was very curious as to why Matty Collector put him out fourth. I mean, they release these figures on a monthly basis, so it's not like you had to wait that long to get Skeletor, but it was an odd play, in my opinion. Overall, I really enjoyed this figure. I think he looks pretty cool. His articulation and his sculpt is really everything that... It's so similar to the original vintage line while being made for, well, adult collectors. So the detail that they've put in his skull and just the lines that they've created and sculpted in this figure are really pretty fantastic, and he very quickly became a favorite in my collection. So this again has been Skeletor. I'll show some close-up pictures here at the end of this video, and we will catch you on the next episode of Bash Brothers Reviews. Thanks so much for joining us. We'll see you again. Drop us a line, leave us a comment, like, share, subscribe to this video, and tell everybody about the Bash Bros. Because much like He-Man, we have the power, and we will rule professional wrestling like Castle Grayskull. Ladies and gentlemen, thanks so much. Like, subscribe, share, follow us at Bash Bros Tag Team on Instagram, Twitter, Bash Bros Watching on Twitter, and you can also follow our new apparel line, DRGNxPLEX, at DRGNxPLEX on Instagram and Twitter as well. And again, thanks again for watching. Hit that like, hit that bell, get notified of the next episode in the Bash Brothers Reviews, and drop us a comment. Let us know what you guys enjoy. All right? Have a good one.